Hi, my name is Eric Rechlin, and I'm going to tell you what is new on the HHC 25 USB drive, which all of you have in your conference packets right now. So I've been archiving HP calculator files for almost 30 years now, since 1997 when I started hpcalc.org, then known as hp48.ml.org. Originally a focus on the 48 and then the other graphing models and the prime as well. Since 2020, I've been running literature.hpcalc.org, which is where I have a collection of all the HP calculator manuals and related books that I can find. First, there is a list of everything known, and then also I have downloads for everything which I have scans of.
It's by far the largest of its kind on the planet.
Yeah, and thanks to you for providing many of those books which I scanned. And also, since 2017, I've been producing the USB drive for the conference. Richard had been doing that before then and for a couple of years, and we'd had CDs and DVDs and stuff like that, but for the last several years, it has just been one USB drive in your packet with everything.
Used to be on paper.
Even before then, yes. So the conference USB drive is a collection of everything I can find related to HP calculators, plus extras from other brands of calculators. I know Gene, for example, has provided a lot of TI, and I've got Casio and other stuff, and some non-calculator HP equipment like their computers and stuff like that, their early computing machines. Most of what's on the drive is on the internet. In fact, pretty much all of it is. There is some stuff that is not. So there are things that you'll only get on this drive, such as the conference proceedings, which are also on Jake's drive, which he can tell you about too. If you know of anything that you think might be relevant to users of HP calculators, be it other calculator information or calculator tangentially related things to calculators, please let me know. I'd be happy to add it to the drive going forward. You can't really see this, but this is the initial view on the drive itself.
And it's virus-free, and you...
Yeah, there shouldn't be any viruses on, although sometimes there are false positives just because some of these are ancient programs from 40 years ago that it might think is some virus that infects a DOS computer, which it isn't, and don't worry about it. The overall structure of the drive, first and foremost, this serves as the conference proceedings. As Richard said, you used to get a printed binder at these conferences, but who has room for 50 binders after 50 conferences? So, well, Richard does, but yes. So it's all electronic form now, plus that means you have color and all that kind of thing too. All the proceedings since 2011 as presented at the conferences are on this drive. Jake's archive has older ones. The biggest in terms of number of files on the drives is the discussion forum archives. So HP Museum Forum, comp.sys.hp48, that kind of thing. Over 700,000 messages since about 35 years ago are on there. Another big section are manuals and books, almost 2,600 PDFs in the manuals section of the drive.
Last year you said it was over 1 million files?
The total is even more than that now, but yes. There's an emulator section. This is for Windows only, but ready to run emulators of pretty much all the different calculators. There's offline mirrors of many websites, 27 major websites that are preserved. Some of these are no longer online. They were online, but you know, link rot, that kind of thing. Websites go down over time, so they're all preserved on here. Jake's PPC archive, which he'll tell you about later today. Periodicals, Calculator Club newsletters, magazines, some of those. A font section for calculator keycap fonts and display fonts. Photos of HP calculators, including all the official HP press photos, and a lot more.
It's the HP calculator world in your hand.
Yes. So last year was the first year I went to a 512 gigabyte drive. It's been growing over time, and we passed 256 gigabytes, so we had to get bigger. Unfortunately, for the first time, the price of the USB drive has not dropped in price from one year to another. So I switched to a different drive this year, which in theory is identical. The specs are the same and everything's same brand. It's just they have both a USB-C and a USB-A connector on it instead of just USB-C. There are 5 lucky or unlucky people here who still have last year's drive, and it's just USB-A. There are advantages and disadvantages. The newer one, as I said, it's $2 cheaper. It adds the USB-C connector, but even though it's supposed to be the same specs, the capacity is 6 gigabytes smaller. So they say it's a 512 gigabyte drive, but you never really know what's the real capacity until you put it in your computer. Last year's was actually 500 gigabytes. This one's 494. Samsung, in contrast, theirs are 513, so they actually give you more than they advertise, but pretty much everyone gives you less space than they advertise. And also, the performance on this is different. So for making the drive images, if I'm doing a sequential write of the whole drive, this is only about half the speed of last year's drive. However, for random file copying, this is way faster. I don't know why there's such a disparity between random and sequential between the two supposedly identical drives, but random writes much better than new drive, sequential much better than the old one. Don't know why. I have added about 50 gigabytes of data since last year, but we still have about 110 gigabytes free, so I think we'll be good for a couple more years before we need a terabyte drive.
Yes. How long did it take to write these two drives?
It wasn't bad, so I did 41 my first batch and got it done in a day, basically. I was doing 8 at a time, and I think they're copying about 80 megabytes per second. This is what it looks like. You probably can't see it in the back, but you can see it's about 3/4 full, almost 1.1 million files, 377 gigabytes of data on there. So what's taking up extra space this year? The first one, the videos section, did grow by, if I can read here, it looks like maybe 16, 17 gigabytes or so. That was the addition of the videos from HHC 2024, HPCC 2024, and the Stuttgart 2024 conference. The literature archive did not grow by much. I didn't scan much over the last year. We only added a few gigabytes there. Jake's PPC archive grew by quite a lot, which I'll tell you about today. The other archive sites, about 10 gigabytes added there. My website grew by a few gigabytes. hpmuseum.net, that's the Australian HP Computer Museum. That one had not changed much in recent years, but just over the last few weeks, a whole lot of scans were added, so I got those incorporated. And the HC Proceedings added about 2 gigabytes. It's some pie charts here showing what's on the drive. Again, you can see the videos are the largest fraction here, and then Literature Archive and Jake's are the next 2 biggest. So that's over 200 gigabytes. Oh, you'd almost fill a 256 gigabyte drive just with those 3 things.
You have 2 yellow ones on the...
Yeah, the colors look almost the same here, but the big yellow is PPC Archive, and the small yellow is going to this pie chart here showing how the breakdown of these other sites. So the HP Memory Project, Jean-Francois, the forums, and Valentin LBO. Most sections did not have many changes this year. And sometimes in past years, I spend like the 2 months before the conference getting a whole lot of stuff added to the drive. But unfortunately, the last 5 months, I've spent my house being rebuilt while I live in it. And I've been doing a lot of work myself too, so that's taken most of my free time. So I unfortunately could not dedicate much time to enhancing the USB drive. But I did add a few things in some places. The emulators have all been updated in the section where you can run them directly in Windows. hp41.org did not have many updates. I've been synchronizing that, and it's about 20 more updates over the last year. Series80.org, that's I think Vasilis' website. He added one PDF. My website, I've done about 250 updates over the last year. hpmuseum.net, the Australian Computer Museum, as I said, about 80 new scans, and most of those were just added in the last few weeks. And then Jake's PPC archive. Under discussion forums, the HP Museum forum, I've been trying to make an archive of all the posts to the HP Museum forum, so 1 more year of posts. It's almost 200,000 messages in the current forum, plus the historic forum. Katie Wasserman added 3 scans to her manual site. Something I mentioned last year, it's called Great HP by Giovanni Beccattini. It's like a coffee table book, full color, all HP test equipment, calculators, all sorts of historic HP stuff, very beautifully done. over 1,000 pages. And he made a new version of this year. It's now over 1,200 pages. And I did keep the old version too, because this last year's version had much higher resolution photos, but the new one has more content. So the old one's like over a gigabyte PDFs. The new one is maybe, I don't know, half a
If you
gigabyte.
buy it, how much is it?
I'm not aware of a printed version. I think it would make a fantastic coffee table book if you did, just because the layout is amazing, photographic quality is amazing, text appropriate. It's worth looking at. It's really worth looking at on your computer. The HP Memory Project, which is hosting that great HP book now, is where many ex-HP employees have shared history about their time at HP, and 3 more memories were added. So that's on there now. The Vintage Calculator Web Museum has a few more photos. Valentino Albio's HP Calculator collection. Actually, he updated it last year, but I hadn't put it on the conference drive yet, so it's still not changed since last year on the web, but it's new compared to the USB drive last year. Something, again, it's going to be hard to read if you're in the back, but what this is showing, it's a grid of months across the top, years top to bottom, beginning 2013 to 2025, showing how many messages have been posted to the HP Museum forum each month. And it did peak around, looks like, about 2017, 2018, and 2014, 2015. There's a couple peaks around a little over 20,000 those months, those years. But it then started decreasing in activity, but it seems to be picking up again. So the last year, so far this year, almost every month has been like the second most approximate number of posts since about 2018 or so. So I think this will be another good year by the time the year's over for activity on the forum.
He's aware that you're doing this?
I don't know.
Okay.
2 newly archived websites. One was hpcalc.org. I don't have a current version of it, but back in 2001, they produced a CD version of the website, and this is that CD. It's only 300 megs or so. It's TI graphing calculator software and documentation from 24 years ago. The other big one, which Gene had specifically requested, is a TI 58C site by Pierre Hubert, and the main focus of the site is for his emulator. He made an emulator for Windows of the TI 58C, and he's got all sorts of skins and backgrounds and all sorts of things related to his emulator. But what's of more interest to us are a couple of hidden sections on there. Well, I shouldn't say hidden, but less primary sections. One is a large collection of documentation, scanned PDFs of things related to TI calculators, mostly the 5859 series. And also, he has a very large calculator collection, probably one of the best that are archived on the internet. So he has photos of the calculators and the cases and the manuals. And he's got a lot of HPs, even Swiss Micros, the PX series from Alex Garza. He's been continually adding more and more calculators to his collection, and more HP-related ones in recent years, too. As I said earlier, I add the videos from the 3 conferences in 2024, HHC, HPCC in Stuttgart, and there's a HP65 training video I found online. I think it may have been uploaded by Mark Hardman. I guess he's not here. He was active in the conference. Sorry, active in the museum forum. The other big thing, as I mentioned earlier, is my literature archive. So this is a comprehensive collection of all HP calculator documentation. I've added 97 more books, about 10,500 more pages since last year, which is not a big increase, but as I said, I've been distracted by other things lately. The PDFs from HP, that has not changed since last year. HP has not made any new manuals, no updates of manuals or anything in the last year, so that's still 87,000 pages. PDFs from the community, that grew by a fair amount. We're almost 1,500 to almost 190,000 pages there. So the total is about 2,000 PDFs with 276,000 pages, 52 gigabytes of data. So this is showing the change in the size of the website since I launched it in 2020. So it was growing pretty rapidly for a while. Now it's tapering off for the last year or so. This is showing the number I've scanned over time. I think, so I said about 145 since it was at 145. I guess I didn't say. I think it was about 97 more since last year, and I think about a third of those are ones I scanned. The other 60 some were ones scanned by others. So one thing that's been increasingly happening now is more and more people are finding out about this website, and they're contacting me saying, I have this book, let's add it. And they talk to me, I let them know my scanning specs. They scan it, 600 DPI, grayscale or color, as a TIFF, JPEG, PNG, uploaded to Dropbox or OneDrive or whatever. I download the gigabytes or whatever of data. I do all my processing, which I described all that, I think HHC 2021 maybe, I can't remember which year. I think it was 2021. I gave a hour and a half long lecture on this is my scanning process. And I go through all my steps to make it a good looking scan, OCR'd, table of contents, all that. So I've done that to about 60 something more. Several people in Germany have provided a lot of German language books, so that's what probably grew the most this past year. So what I'm still looking for, really the three top things I'm missing. Number one, the only HP calculator or accessory manual in English that I don't have a good scan of is the HP 41 Users Library Solutions Applied Statistics Volume 1. Every other HP manual in English I have a good scan of on my website. That's the only one missing. He said he did, but he...
I think he may have scanned it already.
Okay. That's the only one, so maybe he can, last year there were several others I didn't have. He gave me scans of all of them, but this is the one I'm still missing. And then the main third-party book that I'm still missing is Computer Science on your HP 41 using the Advantage ROM. Again, there is a scan of it out there, but I want to make my own high-quality scan. And then similarly with the HP 75 NOMOS Volume 1, it's like a 2,000-something page source code printout, and I'd like to make a better scan of that too. Okay. Another thing I'm looking for is a lot of the service manuals that I have and some of the NOMOS stuff are just photocopies. And if someone has a better quality original or an original that I can scan, that would produce a better quality scan. There's some of the NOMOS listings that I simply don't have. The 75 IO ROM and a few others.
Since I created those, I should have them.
Yeah, right. Well, they weren't in the collection I got from you, unfortunately.
I go through my shelves
Yes.
periodically.
82905, is that an Epson printer, as I recall?
That I know one of the HP printers was an Epson. I can't remember if it's that one.
905.
Yeah.
I want to make a particular plea for the 41C card reader service manual. The scan that Eric has, and it's available in other places. It's a photocopy of the photos. The photographs within the manual are of very poor quality. So if anybody actually has the original manual, it would be great to get that to Eric so he can feel the photos. The card reader service manual.
Okay. So every one of you has a drive in your packet. If you need any more, they will be available for sale from my website. Not immediately, but after I finish editing the conference videos to add them to it, I'll make that available for sale. The price I am keeping at $80, which includes $25 to subsidize the conference. There's some discussion of raising it, but the problem is as the price has gone up, the demand has gone down. And the way we've been doing this for several years now is that when you pay your conference registration fee, it is not paying for the USB drive. The drive is paid for by subsequent purchasers of the drive who subsidize those of you who come to the conference. The problem was this past year I actually sold fewer drives after the conference than I gave away at the conference. So the financials were in the negative, I'll put it that way.
And some people don't feel like that annually update every 2
Yeah,
years.
so the good news, the price of the drive, as I said, I was able to find a $2 cheaper one, which helps. I'm keeping the drive the same price, but also we're going to be using some of the conference fee you paid this year, which is lower than last year. Some of the conference fee you paid this year will go towards the cost of the drives too. So it was not 100% subsidy this year like it was in the past years. And yeah, Richard already mentioned sometimes there's a false virus scan positive on already.com and some other things in the drive. Don't worry about that. So normally this would be the last slide, but I've got something completely different to show you now. For those of you in the front of the room who can see it, don't say anything because the fine print says what it is, but what does this look like?
A font?
Yes, it's a font. What kind of font?
say?
What calculator does that look like? 16, yes. So about 2 years ago, I made this font. Why did I make the font? Well, I really, really want to see a 16C collector's edition come out. And because the 15C collector's edition and 12C are on the same platform, the 16C would be on the same platform. Really the only barrier between where we are now and getting a 16C collector's edition, other than having to do silk screening on a new calculator with the new labels, is a manual. What do you need for a manual? First step, you need the keycap font. So as I said, 2 years ago, I made this. I didn't release it. It's now on your USB drive. So the first release of this font is on the USB drive this year. And then what I did is I decided to typeset the entire manual, just like the 15C CE, and I sent it to Redeem and said, I want the calculator. Here's the manual, ready to go. And I also made a fake image of the calculator. This can be the press photo of it, of a non-existent calculator. I took the 15C LE and the 15C CE and the 16C images and combined them all together to make this. Yes?
When I was working at HPCalc, that little metal piece that with the HP logo and the model number, that would get lost. And they'd call up, and I said, well, what machine do you have? And so I came up with a table that I would ask one or two questions. I forgot the keys I used, but they were unique. So said, oh, my 9 key has such and such on it. I could identify which one they were.
If there's a hex on it, you know it's
And
a 16C.
I gave to Adam some of those logo pieces. I was going through a drawer, and I'm talking to Bob, and I said, well, I'm going to throw these in a bag and call it a legacy calculator grab bag or something. And Bob is drooling out on my phone, so I said, you know, I don't have to put it on the price table. I'll just give it to you.
Well, that's all I have. Thank you.